Welcome to my Let's Play of SS2. We're going to do Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, and probably some of the big side quests, like we'll probably do Gray Matters, Planet X, the CPD, Nightingales, and then I don't know if we'll do much after that. We'll see. Depends on how much fun we're having as a group. If people are engaging, everybody's showing up and having a good time, I'll keep doing it. But primarily the goal of this is to get through the whole story, show you guys it's possible, hopefully teach you guys some of the inside scoop of what's going on. And I'm doing this all with a super minimum load order, basically just SS2 Chapter 2 Workshop Framework. You can see a link to my full load order, which has got a couple extra things in it, at the top of the description. And my focus is going to be on just playing for a while. So like every day or every Wednesday I'm going to stream, I don't know, 3-4 hours, depending on how I'm feeling that day.
Weather should hold up.
Yeah.
Just going to go. I went with default Nate, a whole bunch of charisma, and that's pretty much my build, because I'm not interested in the character customization or any of that. I'm interested in showing off SS2 and all the stuff the team built on it. And hopefully in my save, I hit that damn long-term save bug a lot of you guys are reporting on the forums, because I want that thing gone as quickly as possible. And I think if I have it happen in my own saves, it'll be easy for me to backtrack and see what the hell happened, because I cannot figure that out for the life of me from all the data you guys have sent. I'm going to do Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, because I've never done Chapter 1 on stream. I've done like the first, I think when we launched SS2, about a month afterward, I did a live stream where I played through the first 2 or 3 quests. But I never played through the whole thing, and I would like to, because it would be a good chance to find places we can smooth things out, show off any like little tips and tricks I know from deving the mod that you guys don't know, and I can talk about, you know, some of the background behind the dev of the mod, talk about some people who did stuff, challenges we had, stuff like that. So hoping to keep it interesting. But yeah, I linked in the description, hopefully I linked the right thing, a thread talking about how I plan to do this stream. It's super minimal load order. It's like Workshop Framework, HUD Framework, SS2, Chapter 2, and some F4SC plugins, and that's it. Mostly because I want to make sure that if I discover any bugs while I'm playing, I can 100% replicate them and fix them quickly. I had thought about playing with unofficial patch as well, but that introduces some wildcards as well that are difficult to deal with, so I'd rather just make sure that my saves can work for research, since we're still kind of in hotfix mode, and we probably will be for the next couple of weeks, because you guys are reporting so many bugs, which is awesome. I love getting those fixed out. I'm actually I'm really happy with how many people have messaged me saying they finished Chapter 2 already. That's pretty cool. You can absolutely use unofficial patch. I'm just not using it because I want to make sure that if I'm fixing bugs, they're with SS2 or Chapter 2 and not with conflicts. Because if I start fixing things in the base mods because of conflicts, then it can cause like a cascade of other issues. So we have to do conflict fixes as patches, but so far, I mean, you guys look at the SS2 page. I think maybe we have one patch up there. I don't even know if we have any. We've not had to patch anything so far. We've been able to figure it all out with little hacks and scripts, and that's how I prefer it, because I'd rather just SS2 mods work with every mod. I just try and script the solution to everything. Oh, Prophet, Conqueror. Conqueror is one of those like sad stories for me, because it's something that I got really into. It's what got me hyped about story content, and really like pushed. Once we hit the brakes on that, it pushed me to work really hard on SS2 with the team, because we'd kind of divided the dev team into 2, and we had one little group working on Conqueror and everybody else working on SS2, and SS2 kind of was stalled. And Conqueror, I love that story, but it never got finished, which is really irritating to me. And now it's been so long that I don't even know if we can get all the voice actors back. But we had to hit the brakes on it, because the lead writer of it had a lot of real life stuff happen, and then COVID hit, and then it was just like, all right, I guess Conqueror's on ice for a while. But, right now I am just playing through the pre-war sequence, because, and this is a good tip for you all, if you want a absolute clean save that works great with SS2, is to start it from the mirror with Workshop Framework installed, then save it and call that your clean save. All right, let's get through this intro. It's actually going quicker than I remember. And especially because we don't have to continue, like, we don't care, but we can skip Codsworth. We don't have to do Preston if we don't want to. I might, just because... actually, you know what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to show you guys a way to do the Preston intro in an interesting way that we added in Chapter 1, because I bet most people don't know about this. So we actually our lead writer, Sir Rick, loves to do hook-ins or tie-ins to the base game, and so like messes with, you know, reusing their dialogue and stuff, and so he created an alternate path through the intro, which I thought was pretty cool. I gotta see if I can remember how to do it. So we're gonna do things. We're gonna go right through the SS2 quests. We might do a little bit of vanilla questing, only because I want to show some of the tie-in with the Chapter 2 stuff. I know we hyped it up a lot with the trailer, so I want to show you guys how some of that stuff works. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and grab this. Now, there's a rumor that this is what causes Jake to spawn. That is not actually true, and the reason we didn't do that is because if you were to come in and build a city plan, this would get eaten by the city plan, or would get subbed in the workbench and you might lose it, or if you used a mod that deleted stuff, we didn't want people to be just like left without a way to get Jake. There is definitely in the long-term plans, I will eventually add for you guys some way to force Jake to delay. I know especially people who like to do city plans, it can be really annoying having to run away from him or console disable him. For now, to start up Chapter 1, just build a radio recruitment beacon in one of your settlements, and the stranger will show up. So that is what we're going to do. And he should appear, I think he usually appears in the backyard over here in Sanctuary. There he is.
Hey, hello there. If I'm not mistaken, you're the fella I've been looking for.
Can I help you?
I heard your radio broadcast. Sounded as if you were starting some kind of settlement. Is that about the right of it?
That's right.
Well, in that case...
All right, well, you guys can read the subtitles, so I'll keep talking over this, because enough of you have probably seen this now. You don't need to hear every little bit they're saying, although, man, is that... Jake's voice actor is freaking incredible. Guy's name is Tom. He's wonderful. You can find his info in our credit section on the wiki. If I was able to multitask, I would post his Twitter up right now. It sounds so pro. So many of the voice actors sound amazingly pro in this. Were you inspired by F&V? I cannot say, because I am not involved in the writing, other than I go to a lot of the writers' meetings to make sure that mechanics are worked in, and then I'll throw my feedback in there, but I try not to get in the way of the writers, because I'm not a writer. I am a code monkey.
Rocket brand ASAM sensors, America's #1.
So these little intros from the sensors were just to kind of add some flavor and try and make this, we wanted this to feel super polished at the beginning. But then we actually recorded more of them, and I don't think I've implemented them yet. We actually have those recorded for all the different plots for when you place them. I think they play already after the building plan builds. But we also have them for when the plot builds, because it covers up some of the load time. Because I know any of you guys who played SS or SS2 for a long time, you know it takes a while before the plots are initialized where you can do anything, because there's a lot of code that runs in the background. So we actually created more of those lines I got to implement just to cover up the wait period where Jake's just standing there and not using the plot during when you introduce to the other plot types.
And I don't know how to build one myself.
Shout out to Sebo, who's our animator, who created that awesome animation for the sensor to do the little crazy spinny thing, and then makes that was like one of those moments where whenever I watch people stream this, they're just like, oh, this mod's legit. They didn't half-ass any of this, which is always fun to watch. Because that was like the goal we wanted. I think we kind of did the Bethesda thing. Like if you watch, or you look at Bethesda's intro, like from the waking, pre-war up to like the Deathclaw fight with Preston, it's all super polished, and it's hard to trigger bugs, and everything seems like it's got a lot of interesting stuff going on with it. Like it just felt like a lot of scripted moments. Like that's kind of the same thing we took, and I think their idea and what we went with is that you want people to like be impressed right away, so that they don't just give up on it because it feels like jank. So that was kind of our goal as well, which is always why it's a bummer when I hear people having trouble on how I had a hammer, because that's such an early quest. But I hope we did a good enough job with these first couple that it gets most people engaged. Now, originally, we actually, for this sequence, we were going to go crazy with it and do have like Jake picking up boards and a hammer and like actually building all this, and then that just kind of fell through because that was going to take so long. And we didn't have, at the time, the person we knew with a mocap suit to do that exited the project, and I mean, maybe Nihir will find himself inspired to do that at some point. But for now, I still think this came out really cool, even having him just talking and using the things. So anyway, we had a whole nother intro for people who had the cell reset on them, and we should have implemented it back then. Did not. Now I don't know if we'll ever bother, just because like there's so much, there's unlimited things we want to do. And so certain things just kind of like, oh, that was a cool idea. I'm glad it'd be nice to have, and maybe somebody on the team will be inspired to do it, but not rushing toward it. So we had an alternate for that, and it just never happened. But and that would have been good for people who were playing the mod from an existing save. But now I think most people who play SS2 are playing from a fresh save. There's not a lot of people who are coming in with a late game load order trying to load on a mod that's this heavy. Okay, so back to the Concord thing. So Bethesda was kind enough to feature SS2 right after it launched on the main site, and one of their employees contacted me and had some feedback about the mod. They played through it, and one of their comments was, "It's Concord," and sent me a bunch of information and links about how we were mispronouncing it all the time. So now we just kind of let the voice actors do it, and so some of them do it Concord and some of them do it Concord. Because I think even Bethesda characters do it both ways. I think they were just poking fun, but now we kind of make it's a joke internally about whether it's Concord or Concord. This is going to be the first time I've played this game without God mode in ages, so I wouldn't be surprised if I don't accidentally die. And so on that note, let's pop a quick save. Because I always just play in God mode for testing. Why would I bother not doing that? I'm testing quests and building mode, not combat. Whoa. I am playing on normal difficulty. I don't have the patience for survival anymore. And I don't care about difficulty. I really just want to get through story content. That's really what motivates me. Now I'm going to show you guys a little thing that we set up. Hopefully I remember to do it. But if you do not like Preston, which we know a lot of you do, or hate him from all of our years of dealing with the mod and people requesting things like people hating that we had the holotape in the museum at first. A lot of different reasons you guys dislike Preston and company. We gave a solution where you don't actually have to talk to Preston, and you can still do this quest. And so I'm going to show that route. Oh! Thank God for normal difficulty, or that would have wrecked me. It's always a bummer. I feel like they probably had this scripted at some point to actually fire off and hit them every time, but now it just never does, which is such a bummer, because it would have been sweet to have that guaranteed execute those two. Whoa! Oh, a little aggressive with the old Molotov. Okay, so the trick and the direction, the way you can go through this, so once you get them all killed and you got the objective done, kill the raiders in the museum, return to the stranger, if you just go back out the front door here, we've got it rigged up to trigger the raiding again, and we even have, if you do that and you haven't talked to Preston and you come back in, you can still talk to Preston again, and we have a new conversation that'll pick up. So if you decide that, you know, like, I'm not ready to do Preston, or I hate Preston, you can do either you want. So you can go either way. You can be like, I'm just gonna ditch Preston, I don't want to deal with him, or you can say, I want to deal with him, but later in my playthrough, and he'll be sitting here waiting with a new scene if you do the route that I'm just doing. So I'll show you guys all that scene, but I just want to show that because it's something I think not a lot of people know about, but people probably wish was in there, and it is. You just have to know how to do it, and that's just running right back out the front door. This will trigger the scene that normally triggers when you go up and grab the power armor. And hopefully old Jakey and his laser will keep me from dying to the death.
We got somebody up here.
All right, let's go ahead and, okay, clearly laser musket, not my jam. Probably the same with the short barrel shotgun. I think, oh, I guess I can use the Molotovs. I need weapons I can spam. All right, we'll start out with a little Molotov action. There we go. All right, oh, there he is. There we go. Ooh, that bloody mess. Actually, I don't have bloody mess yet. I don't think I've got any perks yet. There we go. Get our Death Claw to help us out with the raiders. All right, now we cheese it. Now we'll throw the laser musket. Up we go. Come on, Death Claw, throw some dirt at me. Come on, Raiders, fight the Deathclaw. There's a big mean monster right there. Leave me out of this. Jake definitely helps with this, though, because his laser pistol is heavily overtuned. That's actually one of the things we learned in dev, and there's probably a way around it, but I haven't figured it out yet, with NPCs, when you give them a custom weapon, The only way to make sure they use it all the time is to make sure that that it's more powerful than most of the weapons you find on the ground, because otherwise they will just grab the first thing they find that's better than their default weapon and equip that instead, which is a bummer. So like all of our well, not all of them. I think some of them we just didn't bother with it, but like Jake and Aiden, they have their custom weapons, or Aiden's isn't custom, but it's we specifically designed it to match his personality. Is they will just immediately grab some random flamethrower or rocket launcher on the ground because it happens to do more damage than the weapon we start them with. And it seems like there would be such an easy way to get past that, and I feel like I've never seen like Preston do that, so I don't know why it happens. Maybe I just don't pay enough attention. All right, there we go, and we.
Hi.
So now we got the report back to Preston. So now Preston will be sitting in the lobby as if we had already talked to him, but the dialogue is actually set up in a way where it reintroduces you. So it sounds like so it matches what you would expect in the playthrough. And for those of you who didn't read through the 2.0 patch notes or haven't noticed, you can get a lot of ASAMs from Jake now. So in the initial launch, all the boxes in his store were static. And I realized that I just don't care if you guys get ASAM rich. Like eventually you'll get to a point where you'll have to craft some, and then by then the cost might not matter as much. So the cost was really more about, a lot of the costs that we set up in the mod are more about immersion than actual caring about the resources, because it's so easy to get rich in this game, especially when you get settlements involved. But all of these boxes now are boxes of ASAM sensors you can pick up. I'm going to show you guys another little thing for people who hate Preston, because I've gotten also the commentary on other comments and stuff, or on the mod page, about people they don't even want Preston's quest in their log, and I got a solution for that too. I mean, the easiest solution is MCM lets you spawn a holotape. But all right, so for those of you guys who hate Preston so much you don't even want his quest in your log, you can actually poke your head right here and grab this holotape, and it's just outside of the range of triggering his quest. So if you really want to get the holotape, so like Xbox players, I guess that's who it would be for, because PC players, you should all be using MCM, and you can just go to mod config here, Sim Settlements 2, and give yourself a holotape right on this main screen, and they'll just pop one in your inventory. All right, let's go get Jakey. So I'm hoping to trigger, so this next quest is pretty quick, and then we immediately get to go into If I Had a Hammer, which is what I'm really hoping. We run into a bug that many of you report that I have not run into with the quest If I Had a Hammer, where the objectives just kind of get all weird and never seem to complete. Hopefully we'll trigger that. I really want to run into every bug, like, because it is so much easier for me to fix a bug if I've got a save file where I know exactly what happened. I've got some save files leading up to it, and it's got almost no mods installed, which is exactly what this is. So that is one of the big parts of this playthrough, is it's going to be just like a phenomenal bug hunting tool if I run into any issues. You do not have to do Sanctuary as your settlement to start this. It's whatever settlement you build a recruitment beacon in after you install SS2, if you're new to Chapter 1. And if you do it in a settlement and the stranger shows up and you regret your choice, you can actually change it. So if you load up in the holotape, if we go into holotape here, this is something I think only people who really pay attention on the forums would know this. I'm gonna go to return user and cancel this so it doesn't change any of my settings. I like the default ones, and I'm not playing with the full options on in this. I'm playing with just the default, like, middle of the road options, mostly because I think it would take forever if I'm playing with the full difficulty of the scrap. So I'm playing with the mid-level category. But anyway, so if you come into tools and you go to advanced, you can change the main quest settlement, and this will let you tell a stranger to use a different settlement for all of the quests. Yagi, the drop the ASAM on the ground. I think I talked about this earlier, when we first gave the mod to testers. This was ages ago, because SS2 was in development during Conqueror's lifespan. Like, this is how long we've been on SS2, and we've had most of the story, at least the first 2 chapters, completely planned out. So any of you guys who, and there's been rumors going around that we like intentionally chose a bunch of locations to mess with other mods, that is not true at all. We've had this planned for years, and it just took so long to develop because we got way over ambitious. But there was a point in here where the tester, I think the objective just said, I think it said exactly what Jake said, which is like put down the ASAM sensor or whatever. They just kept dropping the sensor on the ground, wondering what was going on, thinking that was how plots were going to work in SS2. Which, man, wouldn't that be awful? Like if every time you wanted to build something, you had to go in your inventory and drop an item on it. Because like the inventory screen, this is one of my most hated parts about Fallout is the inventory system. I hate it so much, and I don't know what they can do about it. But they need to do something different. All right, let's get an industrial plot up. So industrial is probably the biggest change in SS2 versus SS1. So one of the things that SS1 I felt did wrong was it made the player stupid rich, stupid fast, and really broke the game economy. And I could tell this a lot because one of the most requested features was a patch for Horizon because we made it too easy. And like that, you know, mod is all about dragging out the game time and like making it so that everything has a lot more depth to it, which means add a lot more hours. And we were ruining stuff like that. And so industrial also was kind of like the forgotten garbage plot when I first launched SS1. It was just like there had one building plan for it. It didn't do anything interesting, which is why the follow-up expansion, Industrial Revolution, was all about industrial. It was trying to make industrial more interesting. And so this was built right into the get-go. We had industrial as a core part. So now instead of everything being free, everything gets paid for to build on plots, and but we give you plenty of ways to generate junk through industrial. And the goal was basically to make kind of industrial as your foundation level plot, whereas in SS1 it was always agricultural. So now we anticipate the most common plot you'll have in the early game is industrial. So if you hadn't figured that out, that is kind of the layout for SS2, and that is going to help you succeed. Is you want to do bare minimum food, and anytime you got extra people available to work where you're just like, I can just give them any old job, should probably be industrial to build up your stockpile of junk storage so that you have plenty of stuff to build. So the industrial, I just saw somebody, it's a name, industrial cause more sickness. Only the rare materials and higher in the classes cause more sickness. So you can build as much building materials and organic materials and machine parts as you want, and those will cover the majority of the like low to mid tier building. This was another, this conversation stuff and him talking about stuff is another point where, hey, old Paul, another point where we had a lot of discussion in the story meetings about how much detail to go into for a couple of reasons. One is we didn't want to like bury people in technical stuff from the characters because it would just like been horribly boring to listen to. But also we didn't want to like lock ourselves into a corner where we couldn't change gameplay because of stuff the characters said. So it was this really like delicate dance that I don't think we pulled off perfectly because there's so many questions that come up about gameplay mechanics that people just didn't feel were answered during these tutorial phases. But it's tough. It is real tough. Mad props to games who get it right. So for those of you who are looking for a good nickname for old Paul, during dev, somebody started calling him Earthworm because he's got this like awkwardly long neck. And we don't know how that happened. I think it was just like when we made the face, the creator, and I think Sir Rick created this face, lifted the chin up to give him kind of a smaller face profile instead of pushing the whole head down. So then he ends up with this, the neck ends up staying this super long. So he's got this crazy kind of worm head vibe going on, which is hard to unhear once you see that. It's like, oh, yep, it's Earthworm Paul. Here we go. Here's the one we're hoping to trigger some bugs on that many of you guys have seen. Where the time, and maybe we'll see it with the objectives getting all screwy. Excuse me, I'm just hopeful. And if the objectives get all screwy, I'm not worried about that. What I'm worried about is a lot of you have talked about the quest, this next quest restarting itself or never completing. That's what I'm hoping to trigger, because I've never seen that happen. And for myself, I've seen it happen in Let's Plays, but I've never been able to trigger it. And I would love to have a save where that happens so I can finally fix that for you guys. You will get, so the first one that got built by Jake is the building material shed. That's just going to add to the building materials. That's your kind of lowest tier. That's what's used for most of the early game plot types that are unlocked and the level 1 buildings. And then as you get to higher tier building classes and higher levels, it adds the next type. So like to get to level 2, a lot of the buildings that use just building materials for level 1 will add organic materials into their costs. And then to get to level 3, they'll also add machine parts, and it kind of goes like that. So you can get away with all the starter plots, like the starter building classes. You can get all of them to level 3 without ever having rare materials, which is where the pollution comes in, which might start increasing sicknesses. So for those of you guys looking to kind of ways to min-max, that is kind of the design pattern we went with there. Now, if you're playing in survival mode, you probably would have been default set to the full component mode. So instead of on the right hand side of the screen seeing those 4 categories, you'll probably have 30, I think is it 31 resources. You'll have one for every scrap type there, which makes this way more difficult than what I'm doing. And that's for the people who like the, you know, Horizon style gameplay. They want something a little slower, want to have to plan out a little more. That is what that's designed for. Yeah, Wolf, this is actually like one of the main, there were a couple reasons I wanted to do this stream, and one of the biggest reasons was like I need to have like a proper playthrough to test these issues, because I think a lot of times when I'm testing an issue, say there's two ways I do it. Either I ask you guys who are having the issue to send me a save file, or I use the quest skipping in the cheats to jump right to a quest and test from there. And I think that second method can create invalid situations, because when the quests get skipped, it's done a lot differently than if you did it manually. And then if I'm using your saves, because I don't have your full load order, that creates like weird oddities, I'm sure. So like doing it in my own save and running into it is the only way to guarantee I'm going to get a realistic scenario. Okay, so it looks like we do have the if I had a hammer issue, which is awesome. I mean, it's a bummer for the fact that we don't get to go any further. But we're going to switch over to Q&A. Oh, and I got a long save. Yes. Okay, this is perfect. So I've got some amazing stuff to research after this stream. So I'm getting like, this is what you guys are talking about, right? The auto saving is up there. I can't move. It's taking, you know, an auto save should never take more than 4 or 5 seconds, especially like I'm on an SSD drive. That was like 15, 20 seconds. That's way too long. And especially considering I have we've got 11 plots. Like, this is nothing. We have almost nothing in this save file. There's no reason for it to have taken that long. And I just made a save a few minutes ago, so this is great. This is fantastic.